All right, Freedom Builders, it's 11 o'clock, and today, Happy New Year, we've got our amazing special guest, Miss Jackie Kravitz, who's just a gorgeous human being, but a very skilled coach on expireds and FSBOs. Welcome, Miss Jackie.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. So what I would love to ask everybody is don't be shy. Unmute your mics later when we talk about asking questions, but I want you to start asking questions in the chat box. Today, Jackie's going to start off by telling us a little bit of the mindset of expireds, FSBOs, a little bit of her background, because some of you are new here. We have 40 new people a month that join our mastermind group. So some of you don't even know who Jackie is. And I want her to give us a background. Make sure you guys mute your mics when you are entering the room so we don't hear you. And then Jackie's going to actually do a live role play with one of our wonderful agents and top team leader in the area, Phil Demuth. He's said that he raised his hand. There he is. Hi, Phil. He's going to be her seller. And then she's going to do a role play with Phil. And then I'll probably do an expired with her. And then we want to open it up to questions because, again, there's a huge fear in the industry around this. I don't know why, but it's the fact that humans don't like to be rejected. And so we play up in our mind this, this thing that, oh my God, they're going to attack me and they're going to be nasty and it's awful. But the reality is they're just humans and they're just raising their hand and they've had some failures. And it's our job potentially to go in and help them understand as an advocate for them, what we can do, how we can make them more money, and how we can make them win in this market. So welcome, Jackie. I'll let you take the lead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here and an honor. I'm super excited. And Tina, I know you mentioned if I'm able to join the first Friday of every month. So we're going to be doing this once a month.
That's right.
Hey, so excited. I think it's appropriate to, I'll give a quick introduction. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I've been coaching agents for 15 years. Mike Ferry organization for 5 years as a coach, one-on-one coach, and also a group coach for FSBOs and expireds, and then 10 years for Keller Williams and a year and a half for my own company, which is Sales X Training. You can see it in the background. So when I was selling real estate in South Florida, precisely in Fort Lauderdale, the whole entire county where greater Fort Lauderdale is, Broward County, I started with zero sales experience. I don't have a college degree. Very shy, quiet. Well, I was very shy, quiet, introverted, didn't like talking to anybody I didn't know. And here I go, I got a real estate license. And I very quickly realized, because I was told that I should focus on listings because buyers take a long time. And I just believed it. I didn't go, like most agents, let me go work with buyers because it seems easier, which is not. That's a hallucination. It's not easier. It's a lot easier to master listings than it is to work with buyers. So I started focusing on listings and specifically prospecting, just dialing the phone. I had 2 small children. When I first got into real estate, I had a 6-month-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. So my time was very limited because I was a stay-at-home mom, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the house. And so when am I going to prospect? And I started nights and weekends. For the first 2 years, I prospected Monday through Friday from 5:30 p.m., which is when my ex-husband got home from work. So here are the kids, dinner's ready, take care of them. I would lock myself up in a laundry room in the house I lived in and just start dialing the phone till about 8:30, 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, Saturdays and Sundays all day, starting like 9 a.m. all day, because that's the time I had. My first year I sold.
Let me ask you this. Let me stop and ask you this, because I find that some people don't know how to start calling and and what was your mindset as you started to call, because they can't even get into the action, the habit. Did you have to convince yourself? Were you scared? How did you start?
You mean like on a daily basis,
Yeah,
or?
I mean, because I try to get people to start to do one call, and they're like, I can't, and they have to do all the research and get better, and then they
Yeah.
never take the action, and the action is everything.
Did I have fears? Oh yeah, plenty of it. And you were saying earlier that it's so hard to get agents to prospect. I realize that. I
Mhm.
think the biggest fear is the fear of not knowing what to say, not knowing what to say. I mean, when you're talking to people you don't know, they're gonna say stuff, they're gonna give you objections, they're gonna ask you questions. I had zero, just like everybody else when you start in real estate, no experience. So was I hung up on, yelled at, I mean, everything. And that really, it got easier as I continue to do it, as I got more skilled and my mindset got stronger. It obviously, it got easier, but I went through all of that. And I think the advantage for me, and I would offer this as advice to anyone that overanalyzes things, like you said, well, I got to research and I got to figure this out, and I'm gonna, I got to think about it. That's not my personality style.
Yeah.
And it worked in my advantage in this situation. It doesn't always work in my advantage, because I just go do this, do that, and it just doesn't always work. So if it doesn't work, okay, we'll do something else. But I am not the research type person anyhow, so that sounds dreadful to me. I'd rather just do it and figure it out as I go. So that's what I did. And as far as fear, doubt, can I really do this? Is this gonna work? Is it gonna work for me? I had plenty of evidence that it worked for other people, but we always doubt that we can do it. So I went through all of it. It's 25 years later now, and I've had a lot of success. But when I started, I was just like everybody else. When you start something new, I just did it and did it and did it. And there were days, most days, when I didn't feel like doing it, and I did it anyway. I think what the one thing, Tina, you and I talked about this before, because a lot of people have asked me, what is the number one thing that you had or you did that got you to just take action and do what you were supposed to do, whether I felt like it or not, which, as you know, is the key to success. Is it doesn't matter if you feel like it or not. Like professional master, anyone who masters anything, they don't sit and think, oh, I don't feel like it today. No, they just they do what they're supposed to do. I think the biggest thing that I had that got me to have success is I really wanted to succeed. Really, 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 really. I was my life situation was not exactly how I wanted to live the rest of my life. I had left a job when I got into real estate, making $30,000 a year in a hotel without a college degree. I had nothing really to look forward to as far as future career, like zero. So all of a sudden I get a real estate license, and I see the possibility. I see other people that seem just like me making millions of dollars a year. And I'm like, yeah, did I doubt that I could do it? Yeah, but somehow I kept feeding my mind. When I got into real estate, I was 33 years old. I had never read a book in my entire life. And this is a true story.
Wow.
I mean, I flunked my first year in high school. I don't even know how I got through school. Okay. Like that was not my thing. And they used to give you book reports. Now you could go on Google and find a summary. Back then, no. So I don't know how I did it. But anyway, I managed to get a high school degree. I had never read a book until I got into real estate. And all of a sudden now I start reading stuff like Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like I actually can control what's happening here, like my life situation. And I just started bombarding my brain with great books and masterminding and being around people like you, Tina, and a lot of other great agents. And little by little, and continuing to take action, you get stronger and stronger and better and better and better. And then but I wanted real badly. I was broke. Relatively speaking, living paycheck to paycheck. And when I got a real estate license, it wasn't even my paycheck. It was my ex-husband's paycheck. And it wasn't that big. So
Right.
I just, I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. I know this can change my life. And I just kept going and going and going and going.
And it sounded like you just wanted it that bad.
I did.
Right. And that was 25 years ago. Now, fast forward 25 years later, I
Yeah.
see every single day, which drives me crazy, online. You've got all these digital marketer people. Cold calling is dead. Don't cold call. Become a digital master, which again, you need a degree to understand how to build a funnel, to go out there and do video and then all these digital marketers are selling people on the fact that you don't ever have to pick up the phone again. People will just come to you. You
Yeah.
have a coaching program, Sales X Training, which is on your banner behind you.
Yeah.
Today, people every single day are making cold calls still and getting listings. In fact, just yesterday, my brother-in-law called me while I was washing the dishes. He goes, I was in a rut. And I said, okay. He said, and I picked up the phone yesterday and Carla Garcia called me. She's like, do you want to prospect? And he said, yes. And then he went to a FSBO. The FSBO was listed at 225. He took it for 190. In one day, he made a $10,000 commission check.
Yep.
But I said, imagine, Jeff, if you did this consistently. And what I find too is you did it consistently. I did it consistently. So I'm going to out consistent people, maybe not outskill them or out know what they know, but I'm going to out consistent them and fail forward.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about today that your students still are listing for sale by owners and expireds and circle dialing, and it's working.
Yeah. Tina, yesterday we have a live call twice a week. We have live calls with my clients. And yesterday, one of my clients she's fairly new to my training. She's embracing everything and having the fear and doing it anyway. She shared on yesterday's call. She's never listed an expired before. And I kept saying to my clients, and I was talking about this all the month of December. December can be your best month for listings in the entire year. You're going to be one of the only ones that are actually making calls. And then we were talking about January 1st, how they had to be on the phone on January 1st. So she's not the only one. There was another client listed her very first expired on January 1st. She said, I remember you kept drilling in our brains and I'm not a prospector. She joined like a month ago. She took the script, she started calling, and she took a listing the same day. She called, they said, sure, come over. She went out and listed the property. And then yesterday, this client said, all right, so I face all my fears. I pick up the phone. I call this expired listing. And it's $1 million property. She's in Miami. I live in Miami. And I have a lot of clients in Miami. They're all on the line listening, because some of them are like, oh, I'm afraid of expireds. I called. I made an appointment. They told me over the phone while I was pre-qualifying, I am not listing the house. And she walked out of there with $1 million listing sign. Very first expired in her entire career. Another agent, my client, shared again yesterday on the call, and some of you are in my training, you can go listen to the recording. He listed 8 properties in December, best December he's ever had. So this is all just dialing, because that's all I teach him: what to do, how to do it, what to say, how to think. And some of them are getting results just like as quickly. It's for me so exciting to hear the excitement for these clients, because now you've done it once. You could do that every day. You could do it all the time. And it's just a few stories. So I think like you said, the digital marketing, do this instead, do that instead. It all seems easier than actually picking up the phone and learning how to communicate with people. What I offer here, because I know you said, Tina, I'm a FSBO and expired, coach. And yeah, it's my thing. I love them. I know it sounds insane, but I do. I'm FSBOs and expireds are the best, hottest prospects. You just need to learn how to speak with them. But I think what attracts agents to these other things that they could do, even though it's going to cost a lot of money and time, and I don't know, I know nothing about that. Just a way to get away from really learning how to sell, my question is, okay, let's say you create a funnel, and it's not that I don't believe in these things. You and I have talked about it. I just don't know anything about it, so I'd have to hire a professional, and then who knows how much it'll cost. So whatever you do, okay, let's say now you're spending a ton of money and it brings you leads. What are you going to do with these leads? Do you know how to communicate with them? They're going to have objections. You're not the only agent that has that lead. They're talking to other agents. They're interviewing other agents. They have pricing objections. Do you know how to make a presentation? What are you doing with the lead if you don't know how to sell, if you don't know how to communicate and influence people? Not much, I don't think so.
That point right there is huge, because some people go, well, it's just expires. I'm not going to call them. Okay, so call a cold lead from the internet. Call a lead from Zillow. Call a lead from Realtor.com. Call a lead from home. Call any lead. You're still going to have to learn the skill of conversion, the skill of learning objection handling, the skill of going and doing a listing presentation, the skill of objection handling when they ask you to list it for 4.5%, because every agent on God's green earth that can't charge 6 is charging 4.5 because they're desperate. You still have to learn those skills to up your offer, to up your game, to figure out how am I going to present myself to be a better candidate to get this person to list with me. So that is forget the expired and FSBO training. Yep. How about the rest of it, right? I mean, and we really don't spend the time and the education every single day learning how to master our craft. And here you are 25 years later, still coaching the exact same scripts. I mean, maybe you changed them just a little bit, but people will call me all the time. Can I have your magical scripts? Yep, here they are. There's a whole book of them. These magical scripts are going to land on your desk, and they're going to just jump into your brain, and you're going to become a genius. No, these are just words on paper. How do you master the presentation of the scripts? By doing the action, right? Yes. So I want to pivot a little bit, and I want to introduce Phil, because I want to get to the role play. Yes. Phil, are you here? Phil DeMuth, unmute yourself.
I am here.
There he is. So here's my friend Phil. Jackie and Phil, you guys were on Clubhouse together, and we did a little thing, last year. But Phil is a great example of somebody who built his business on expireds and for sale by owners, and he just really dove in and became masterful at doing it. And last year, Phil, you listed what, 40, 50 for sale by owners, expireds on your team?
Yeah, we did about 54, I think, FSBOs last year.
And you're in my same market, right? So we're all in the Raleigh-Durham market. And the one thing I hear from agents, there are none. There's nothing out there. What would you say to that?
I listed 54.
There you go.
There.
Tina, you remember this when they say there are none. Hold on to that thought.
Hold on.
Let Phil and your team list all of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Hold on to that thought. Like when people go, I'll never beat you at golf or whatever, I go, hold on to that thought and let's go golfing, right? I mean, it's that mentality. But again, Phil, maybe speak to when you started calling for sale by owners and expireds 4 or 5 years ago to today. I mean, you're the same personality. So I find that drivers, right? Jackie's a driver, you're a driver, Marty's a driver, Wendy's on the call, Wendy's a driver. I find that my drivers are the ones that will just go, screw it, I'm taking action, I'm doing this, I'm diving in before I know what I know. And then the consistency creates the habit. The habit creates the result of maybe you won't get a FSBO today or expired, but if you're still doing it 6 months from now, chances are you're going to find one that you talked to 6 months ago that's going to convert. Can you talk a little bit about the consistency and the longevity of doing the craft every day?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was, so I had a sales background. I come from sales before I got in real estate. And for me, it was just consistency, right? Every morning, kind of like Jackie said, I'm not better at FSBOs than anybody. But what I have is a work ethic better than most, and a drive. So what it usually takes people a year to do, I was doing in 3 or 4 months because I just constantly did it. I'd go in the office every morning at 7:30. I would be on the phone by 8 a.m. sharp. And I did it till 2 p.m. 6 days a week, every week for 4 years. And I got a lot of no's. I got a ton of no's. But a lot of no's turned into yeses a month later, or they turned into yes immediately, depending on what market we were in. The market's, got a lot hotter. So now with for sale by owners, if you don't get them quick, someone else is going to get them. It's not like it was 4 years ago where it may take 30 days to convert them. But it really, when you're on a call with people, it was just learning objection handlers, building rapport quickly, knowing your differentiating factors, like what sets you apart from a different team, and just being consistently every day with people. Follow up is very important in real estate. Most people say they're going to do for sale by owners, and they'll do it for about 2 weeks max.
2 weeks.
And then they stop.
Yeah.
And then they stop. It takes 90 days to make a habit. So it's just, can you handle the rejection for 90 days? So it was just doing those things every day and just being okay with the no, and being, I made a game out of it. My first listing I ever got was a for sale by owner. And my first coach told me, he's like, you should try this for sale by owner thing. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Nobody gets for sale by owners. Very first phone call I made, talked to the girl 10 minutes, she come out in an hour, got the listing. It was the very first one. It was that simple. Is it always that simple? No, that never happens. But I was like, once you get that first one, it's like, I can do this, and especially once you see that paycheck.
Yeah, and I think too, I, like you, the first 3 listings I got 21 years ago were 3 for sale by owners. I was a 22-year-old kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just wanted to get in there, and I followed up with them. I dropped them off a little package because I didn't know what to say at that point. And the little package had their little comps in them, and I dropped it off on a Sunday, or actually it was like a Saturday. They had their little open house on Sunday. I followed up on Monday to see if they sold their home. And then I stayed in touch with them week after week, giving them things. This is at a time that homes were not selling. Today, the homes do sell. So you almost got to get to the FSBO before they sell it themselves and leave money on the table. And so, and what Phil said, which I want to touch on a little bit too, is the consistency, but the lead follow-up. 70% of my appointments came from lead follow-up. I have to imagine, Jackie and Phil, that's the same for you guys. Your 70% of your success or your listings come from that lead follow-up. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I have to disagree.
Okay, what is, yeah, please. You did a more than me.
So in the beginning, when you start prospecting, just like I did my first year, 2 years, yes, it was a ton of lead follow-up. My first listing was not a FSBO. It was a just listed, just sold. It was a random person calling my neighborhood, and it's like I was even shocked when she said yes, because I talked to hundreds of people, and I call, and she's like, oh, I can't believe you're calling about this. My husband and I were just talking about it yesterday. We're ready to list a house. So we had a baby. We need a bigger house. And I'm like, I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let's set up a time. She said, sure. Can you come over tomorrow night? And they listed with me. I mean, to me, I'm shocked. Like, I don't know why they listed with me, because I had no clue what I was doing. But the house sold. And the first FSBO I listed, I think it took me like 3 months following up. Just like you guys, you go and you do a CMA and whatever. I had no idea what I was doing. So I follow up every week. And finally, they actually told me at the end of 3 months why they listed with me. And then they said, I want to tell you why we listed with you. I said, please do, because I have no clue why. Like, that was probably not the best choice, but thank you. and they said, when we first put this house as a for sale by owner, like the first week we had calls from like 100 agents. After 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 20 were following up, calling us still. After a month, maybe 5, 3 months later, you're the only one. You're still calling. So, okay, let's go. That's really why I took the listing. It's not because I knew how to do anything. However, in terms of this follow-up stuff, I teach my clients, you have to have the mindset that you are going to set an appointment on this first call, period. It's now or never. If you get on any call, I don't care who it is, okay? with the mindset of, I'm gonna have to follow up, we get what we expect.
That's true.
And so, oh, is it realistic to think that I could set an appointment with everyone that I speak with? What's reality anyway? It's like whatever I believe is my reality. Well, and then there's the catch-22. Does Jackie set an appointment with everybody that she talks to? No. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe that I will on every call. You are going to give me an appointment right now, because otherwise, especially with FSBOs and expireds, because they have objections. If you're thinking that you're going to have to do a lot of or even follow up once, I don't care how long you think you're going to have to follow up for. If you think you're going to have to follow up, the moment the FSBO says, I just started, I'm not in a hurry, I'm not listing right now, you can call me in a month. Oh, okay. I'm expecting that I'm going to have to follow up. So I buy into that objection immediately. It's an objection that can be overcome, and you could set an appointment right now. But mindset is everything.
I love
So I say again, you have to have that attitude on every call of it's now or never. And then the catch-22 is not get discouraged when you don't get an appointment with everyone that you talk to. It's just another, next. But when you look at it that way, you give it everything on every call, which is what is required. If you just take the first objection and you say, okay, I'll follow up with you. I learned from a lot of mistakes. I remember FSBOs and expireds both. I remember buying into, I'm not doing anything right now, call me in a month. And I'd call in a month because I was afraid of calling sooner, because they told me in a month. And if I call sooner, they're going to say, don't you remember? No, they don't remember who I am. They're talking to a ton of agents. But what would happen is I'd follow up, and then they say, oh, I'd already listed with an agent. I'm like, what? You told me you were listing for a month. What do you mean you listed? And FSBOs and expireds both do that. Why? Well, I had no idea what I was doing. So I didn't want to continue to lose listings to other agents because I'm being passive and I don't know how to handle objections and close. And so learning. For sale by owners, when I was selling real estate for several years, I was listing 100 FSBOs a year, about 50 expireds in a hot market. So more FSBOs, definitely. What percentage of FSBOs I listed, I set an appointment on the first call? Probably 70%.
That's amazing. That's
70%.
amazing.
But this is not my second year. This is once I started figuring out how to do it better, how to do it differently. Expireds, new expireds, even higher, probably 80% was on the first call. A new expired, 50% of them relist within 72 hours. Follow up. That's how I lost so many expired opportunities my first year, because there were a lot of very experienced, aggressive agents calling. Tina, I was involved with Mike Ferry. There were Mike Ferry coaches. I'm brand new. And these coaches that are selling 100 homes a year, 150 homes a year, they were calling the same expired as me. So, follow up. They give me an objection. I don't know what to say. I call a week later. They listed with so-and-so. And the same people I'm hearing. You know what? Obviously, this is not the way to do it. Yeah, and it took time. But I believe you got to be obsessive about following up with your leads. That's another conversation. But the mindset of lead follow-up on, when you're prospecting, no, that doesn't.
So it sounds like to me, what you created was a winner's mindset, right? Because, Mike would even teach, 70% of your business is lead follow-up. And that's what I adopted. Like, I had to call my leads. But what you're saying, which I think is absolutely true, on expireds and FSBOs, you have to have that, I'm getting this today. And I love that because, sometimes I think agents, if they have that mindset, but they're not strong, you had that mindset when you got strong, but if they're not strong and they don't get the appointment, they're like, oh, this doesn't work. So really it's time plus, building your confidence plus staying consistent leads to the prize. Somebody asked real quick before we start the role play with Phil, how many homes did you list your first year? Because I think you didn't sell a lot of homes your first year.
No, I sold 25 homes my first year.
That's a lot of homes, especially in today's
I
day and age.
mean,
Back
like for me, I was working nights and weekends, and I had left a job making 30,000 a year. And that first year, average price was like 150. It wasn't very high.
25 back then is like 50 today, because
Yeah,
the average in the nation today is 4, 5, 6,
right.
right?
Like, oh my
So-
gosh, like how amazing is that? But even with the average price of 150,000, I made, I think, 65,000 that first year. That was more than double what
How
I
many
made
were,
working
how many were
full-time.
listings? How many were listings?
I think I had 2 buyers.
Okay.
So it was 23 listings sold, 2 buyers. One of the buyers was the first house I listed that just listed. They sold it. They bought another one a few blocks away, a bigger house, and I sold it to them. And the other one was a friend of my ex-husband from work. So that was it. And that was it with buyers for like
Forever. And then what was your best year peak year of FSBOs and expireds? I think you said 150, but how many of those
Yeah,
were FSBOs?
it was for several, starting my 4th year, I closed 100 transactions. They were all FSBOs and expireds.
Amazing.
And then 5th, 4th, 6th year, like moving on until I started coaching, I was selling about 125, 130. And they were all listings sold. They were all FSBOs and expired. I was the one making every call, taking every listing. And that was it. It sounds a little crazy when I think about it, but yeah, it was fun.
It is. Yeah, fun. All right.
You know, the money was fun too. It's like, I as I say, you know, and I think where I started, you know, where I came from, it's like, I worked my butt off. Okay.
Yeah, you
It
did.
wasn't easy. Like, don't look at it and say, oh yeah, well, she did something. There's something about her that it was easy for her. No, it was not easy. And it's not easy. Who is it easy for? Unless, you know, Phil had an advantage. He came from a sales job before or whatever. Not me. It was a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I'm in your boat. It was freaking hard. I hated every minute of it, but I enjoyed the fruits, right, of the labor that you put behind it. And it was very lucrative, and it helps build your wealth. So what I want to do is, Phil, you know, I think we should do a role play to allow some of the agents to kind of hear what a typical for sale by owner, and don't be easy on Jackie because she's really good. But the point is, role play, guys, Jackie and Phil and myself, we've always role played. So we always practice that skill with different agents. You guys have this group of 800 agents, Freedom Builders. You can just put in the group, hey, I want a role play partner who wants to do this, that, and the other. You're going to find other people like you that want to do this. So the goal is to practice your skill every single day. You don't see pro football players and basketball players. You know, Michael Jordan wasn't practicing once a month. He was practicing every day to get a sliver better, a half, a quarter percent better to advance his game. And so you got to think of it that way. If you're going to master the art of this, it's got to be a daily habit to practice. So the goal is these two are going to pretend, let's say they're agents in the field. Phil is right now, Jackie's a coach. Every day they're going to get together and they're going to push each other on the objections, not be easy on each other, and not pick up the phone and say, how was your day? What did you do? We tend to go off on tangents. This is a 15-20 minute every single day. Do your job, get off and be done, and go do your prospecting. So Phil's going to give her 3 or 4 tough objections. She's going to try to handle them. They're not going to break the scene. And then at the end, he's going to give her an appointment. The goal is, don't be an a-hole and try to like stump the person 52 times. Like, come on, like give them the appointment, end at a positive, and then get on the phones that, 5 minutes later and get going. So I'll let you guys take it away with a FSBO. Phil will be the seller and Jackie's going to be the amazing pitbull agent.
All right, Phil, let's do this. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, is this Phil?
This is.
Phil, this is Jackie. I'm a local real estate agent. I noticed that you have your house for sale. Looks like you're selling it by owner, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I decided to give you a quick call because I work with buyers and sellers here in the area and just wanted to see how things are working out for you.
So far it's pretty good. We just put it on the market on Monday. We've had a lot of phone calls from agents.
Yeah, I bet.
A a lot of interest as well from people. No offers yet though.
Oh, great. Well, it sounds like you're doing really well. You're getting a lot of interest, you said, from people, and you just started. So it sounds like you're doing pretty good. Phil, I'm curious, is saving the commission the main reason why you decided to sell it yourself instead of using an agent?
Kinda. I used to be an agent in Tampa. I used to be an agent in Tampa. So I kind of know the market, I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
So don't really feel like I need help. I didn't want to give commission away in such an easy market.
Right. No, I understand you completely. Having had a real estate license previously in Tampa, I have no doubt that you know what you're doing, and like you said, it's definitely a seller's market right now. And of course, you could sell it yourself. I completely understand. Phil, let me just ask you this question. Even with all your experience and the hot market that we have right now, if somehow I can show you a way where it would benefit you financially, and what I mean by that, you'd be able to net more money, even after my commission is paid, by potentially working with me instead of selling it yourself, especially in today's market. Is that something that you might be interested in looking at?
Jackie, that's an interesting point. And I've heard other agents kind of say that little spiel to me, but at this point, no, I'm not really interested in interviewing an agent. Like I said, I had a lot of experience selling real estate in the past, and I just don't want to give that commission away. It's only been on the market 5 days. So probably not at this time.
I got you, Phil. I understand. And by the way, I can definitely follow up with you. And I completely understand why you wouldn't want to pay a commission. Now, obviously, if you can sell the house for the same price that I could sell it for, I mean, why would you want to pay me to do it? I know that makes no sense whatsoever. And at the same time, if you felt that it could be financially advantageous for you, again, especially in a hot market like what we're experiencing right now, in essence, Phil, what I'm saying is, if the commission was an investment that would make you money instead of costing you money, wouldn't you at least want to hear how that might be possible for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not an idiot. I'd like to know if you can make me more money. I don't see in this market how you could, though, just because homes are flying off the market in like an hour.
Right. I completely understand. And Phil, this is exactly why I'd like to meet with you for just 20 minutes. I'd like to show you why and how I am confident that hiring me in this market would be the best financial decision you can make. You're under no obligation. Let's meet for 20 minutes. Let me show you what I can do for you. And then at the end of our meeting, you decide what's best for yourself. Would you be available for 20 minutes around 3 o'clock today, or would 4 be better?
Jackie, that sounds really good. And I really appreciate your time. Could you give me like 2 weeks to just see if I can sell it myself?
Of course, absolutely. Phil, here's what I'm thinking. Whether we meet now, 2 weeks from now, or 2 months from now, is it fair to say that in this process of selling your home, selling it for the absolute highest price this market can give you and keeping as much money as possible is more important for you than just selling it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I want to get the most amount of money as soon as possible.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And see, with that in mind, Phil, give me 20 minutes of your time. Let me show you what I can do for you. And then you could decide what's best for yourself. If you want to hire me, I'd be thrilled. If after a meeting, you still feel like you want to continue for some time to sell it yourself, hey, we'll shake hands. I'll be on my way at least at the end of our meeting. Even if you decide not to work with me, you're going to walk away from that meeting with a lot of great ideas that will help you with the sale of your home moving forward. So would 3 o'clock be good for you today? Would 4 be better?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock sounds better, sure.
Great. See you at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Jackie.
Woohoo! That was amazing. Amazing. So here's the thing, guys. I mean, I wrote down Jackie was calm. She was cool. She was very agreeable. She wasn't like an agent that was trying to go after Phil and call him stupid or, really make him feel like he was doing the wrong thing. If it was financially advantageous, especially in this market, right, where my commission was an investment versus a cost. If you guys didn't write that down, you're missing the whole presentation. She closed them 8, 9 different times. She's the Michael Jordan of FSBOs, people. And she keeps saying, is it fair to say? Like, she's going back to his goal of, is it fair to say you just want to net the most amount of money? Well, great. She's not attached. Whether we meet now, tomorrow, a week from now, 2 months from now, is it fair to say you just want to net the most? Great. Let's meet. And if this doesn't work out, we'll shake hands and move on as friends, but at least you have all the information you need to make a good decision in this market, right? So to me, the reason it comes off so easy, and all of you are probably thinking, wow, she's so masterful. She's done it 1,000,002 times.
Yeah.
This is like, nothing phases her anymore. She wants them to say what they're going to say. And I remember, you said this, they don't go to seller school and learn new objections. They say the same thing over and over and over. Why don't we learn the answers?
Yeah.
So unmute yourselves or ask questions in the chat box, guys. Turn your cameras on. We want to see your lovely faces. We've got a question here. Do you pre-qualify FSBO calls, or are you just focused on the appointment?
No. Well, and great question. Yes, 100%. You got to pre-qualify every single one, but not until you set the appointment. So I took Phil the way to the, yes, we'll meet at 4 o'clock. Now is when I pre-qualify. And this is a very important point here, because did I ask Phil where he's moving to? No. Do I even care? Not until I am pre-qualifying. Okay. So, and I think that's a big mistake with a lot of other scripts that other coaches are teaching. You want to ask about motivation, where you're moving to, how soon do you want to move, and the only thing a for sale by owner cares about is money. They're not interested in telling you, a real estate agent, a complete stranger who they're not interested in talking to, they're not interested in listing with, like, what am I doing with my life? It's none of your business. It's like even if they stay in the conversation, they're not interested in that. All they're interested is save the commission. It's a money conversation. And until I get a yes, now pre-qualifying is when I'm gonna ask, so hey, Phil, when we do sell your home, assumptive language, when we do sell your home, where will you be moving to? Now I wanna know, because that's gonna be my leverage at the appointment. But before, if you start asking those questions, before you get the appointment, those questions are gonna be, you're gonna use those questions to disqualify the prospect. Why? Because a FSBO, they don't know me, they don't know you, they don't want to list with an agent, they don't think they need an agent, they don't want, they're very resistant. How likely, if this for sale by owner is desperate to sell their house, and a lot of them are, will they tell you? A real estate agent out of the blue, who they don't know, who they have no interest in working with, they're going to tell, oh yeah, I got to get out of here within the next 30 days. Of course not. They're going to downplay the motivation. It's always like, I'm not in a hurry. I just thought I'm doing great. If I don't sell, I'll stay here, I'll rent. Of course, they're going to say that. I would too. So,
Jackie, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When you're qualifying them, do you ask while you're on the phone, do you say, after you've qualified them, you're done with the qualifying, is your last question, you say, hey, at the meeting, if you like what I have to say, I like what you have to say, are you willing, able, and ready to sign?
Yes.
Do you ask that every time?
Yes, that is the last question. And I worded a little differently with a FSBO. So
Okay.
after we gone through all the pre-qualifying, I'd say, so Phil, let me ask you this. If at the end of our meeting, you are confident that hiring me is the best financial decision you can make, will you be ready to go ahead and list the property? That's it. That's the question. So this is the last question I asked. And again, hypothetical, if you're confident it's the best financial decision you can make, how, when we were role playing, Phil, you said something like, well, yeah, I'm not an idiot. Like, who would say no to that?
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of that question, the way that it's worded is, when they say, well, they may say, well, who knows? They could say different things. They could say, well, we'll see when you get here. I'm not satisfied with that. I'm not done with, I think that's another mistake agents make when pre-qualifying appointments. They have a script, they ask the question, and the seller gives them a completely answer that says nothing. And they're like, oh, okay. Okay, now the purpose of pre-qualifying, you have some basic questions. And then if they give you an answer that's unclear, like you literally have no clue what's going on, you gotta think, ask additional questions, you gotta dig, so the purpose of pre-qualifying is so that you can gather information to be prepared when you get to the appointment. You don't want to be blindsided by any objections, interviewing other agents, whatever's going on, you want to find out. So actually, when you do everything correctly from the beginning of the call to the entire pre-qual, a lot of sellers would say, well, I mean, if I see the benefit, sure, I'd consider it. Who's in control of whether I take this listing or not right now? I am in control. If I go on that appointment and the seller doesn't want to list with me, guess what? I didn't do my job. They said they would list. So I always say to my clients, they're a yes until you show up and turn them into a no. The fact that they gave you the appointment, they're saying, sure, I'll consider. And now you show up and you're hesitant, you're weird, you don't know what you're doing. Well, they get weird. You hesitate, they hesitate. You get weird, they get weird. You don't know what you're doing. They realize, well, I don't feel comfortable with this. This is like, so we're responsible, but that's the beauty of pre-qualifying.
This is a perfect segue because a couple of the agents have asked, and I think this was a big mindset, even for me. Back in the day, I was like, but how do I save them more money? How do I, right? And so one of the agents said, when you get there, let's see, what in your presentation in front of the FSBO makes you prove you're going to make them more money? And that's a mindset thing, Nicole, because you don't believe you can, because you still think they're saving commission. So talk a little bit about that, because that is such a common thing for the agents to believe.
So I'll give you a little bit here. I know we don't have a lot of time. We could do expireds on the next one, Tina.
Yeah, we'll do it, because she's going to be here every first Friday, everybody.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit, but so that you can get the whole entire process, I invite you to go to my YouTube channel. There's an entire presentation. There is a video. It's over an hour. It's a FSBO call, a pre-qual, and the listing present. Like, now I'm there. How do I net you more money, including the pricing, the whole thing. So Jackie Kravitz on YouTube, and you'll find it under, there's a playlist for listing presentation.
I'm going to post it right now. I'm going to post it.
Just you'll find it on my YouTube channel. Okay. And you'll be able to get the whole thing, because I won't be able to give it to you here right now. And then once you're on YouTube, you can watch it as many times as you want, transcribe, get it word for word. But I want to give you something to think about right now. FSBOs have problems. They don't know they have problems. And unfortunately, for most real estate agents, the agents don't realize FSBOs, they don't think FSBOs have problems. They're like, the market is so hot. Oh, they could actually sell it, and they could sell it for the same price that I could sell it for. Like Tina said, mindset. But for your mindset to change around this, you need the knowledge of what to say, the scripts. So you're going to get that, okay, when you watch this on YouTube. The point is, they have problems. what are some of the problems they have? Limited exposure is a problem. And it's a real problem because according to NAR, over 90% in 2020, I don't have the 2021 stats yet. In 2020, according to NAR, of all the homes, NAR studies homes, prices, sales nationwide. 92% of all the homes sold in 2020 in this country were sold by agents. 92%. What does that mean? It means that 8% of homes were sold without an agent, a FSBO. Half of those were builders. They weren't just straight up for sale by owners, but let's not even break it down that way to complicate it. 92% of buyers are buying from an agent. So I don't care how many hundreds of websites this FSBO puts their house on. I don't care how many open houses. Why are FSBOs putting their house on all these websites, doing open houses? Because they understand that exposure is important. To sell my house, I need people to know my house is for sale. And no matter what they do, 92% of buyers are buying from agents. So they're not touching that. Well, yeah, but 50 agents called me and I told them about my house for sale. Sure. In Miami, there's 60,000 agents and a couple of hundred are calling you. So, and when these agents are working with buyers, they're going in the MLS to look for properties to show. They're not like, oh, let me call that FSBO. I mean, some do just to court the FSBO to make them believe that they actually have a buyer. Other story, limited exposure. Why is it that 92% of buyers are buying from agents? Because buyers don't pay a commission. Buyers can walk into a real estate office anywhere in this country and say, well, I want to buy a house here. Sure, no problem. Here's a real estate agent. We'll do everything for them. Look, research the market, set appointments, drive them around, show them property, buy them lunch, negotiate contract, handle inspections, closing, no commission. What's going to motivate a buyer to pass all of that up and go directly to a for sale by owner? First of all, for sale by owners in most markets, probably every market, they represent maybe 5% of the homes for sale, where the rest of the 95% are in the MLS. So here I am a buyer. I can work with a licensed, professional, experienced real estate agent for free, or I can drive myself insane looking for FSBOs everywhere. Some do. Why would they do that? To save money. There's no other reason why. If they're not, they're looking at it thinking, oh, wait a minute, that FSBO's not paying a commission. The commission they're not paying. Like, who's gonna save what here? And then there's the third party negotiating situation. Like, it's a nightmare. Anyway, limited exposure. FSBOs that's a problem. Second problem, they're dealing with bargain hunters for what we just talked about. They're dealing with unqualified buyers. That's huge. That's a huge issue for real estate agents, and you guys know what you're doing. According to NAR, of every buyer inquiry that you get, I don't care if it's a buyer that walks in an open house, calls you from a sign, or finds you on the internet, only 4% are ready, willing, and able. Tina, biggest challenge that real estate agents have with buyers is separating the lookers from the ready, willing, and able. Right now, who's ready to buy right now? 4% are ready, willing, and able.
And if you tell a FSBO these things, like if you ever say to a FSBO, hey, have you ever had those calls where people are looking to rent to own? They're like, oh, I just had 3 of those calls, because they're getting the bottom of the barrel buyers. These buyers, want to save a commission. And I always tell them too, Mr. Seller, when I get a for sale by owner that my buyer wants, the first thing I'm going after is the commission that you're saving. That they've hired me as a professional to negotiate. And by that time, you're just so happy you got a buyer, you're negotiating it away. A lot of times, and this is, guys, I posted in here, Jackie has Sales X training. There's a discount code she gives all our Freedom Builders. I think it's Tina. Is that correct? I can't remember.
Yeah, if you go on Sales X training, the quarterly membership, there's a place for coupon. You type Tina, the price goes down.
So I'll put it in there, but but what I want to tell them too is, you know, this is an art form. Like you have to learn this. There's so much psychology that goes into this. This is not listen to Jackie once and you get this. This is listen to Jackie over and over and over again, and you'll get there. But these FSBOs, they take time, and you gotta understand how their mind works, and then get the psychology of it to feel confident to land them. We've got literally 4 minutes. One person said, what about FSBOs with the mindset that buyers want to work directly with the listing agents or owners to get a credit along for closing? Common scenario in high price ticket areas. So buyers that want to work directly with the listing agents or owners to get a credit at closing. So I guess what they're trying to save the commission, the buyers, is that what he's asking?
I'm a little confused.
I am too, Frank. Unmute yourself, maybe ask that way. I'm a little confused on that one. So,
Hi, good morning.
good morning.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, so basically that question is, you know, with FSBOs, the reason they want to sell themselves is to save commission, but then their mindset is, why should I sell with you? And most buyers directly call the listing agent, said, I want to work with you, you know, to get the deal done, to avoid the bidding market and possibly get a, you know, it's a win-win situation for the, you know, the buyer, the seller, and the listing agent. So with the FSBOs, I've had that scenario a few times. So
What's confusing me about your question, Phil, you're saying the FSBO says the buyer will call the listing agent directly. Okay, so who is your listing agent? I would ask the FSBO. Do you have a listing agent? Do you have an agent that you listed with? I want to be your listing agent.
right, I think my question is, the buyers, you know, the FSBO agent, the FSBOs might want to sell it themselves because the buyers will contact them directly rather than going with the
You
agent.
know, they're hallucinating.
Yeah, yeah.
They're hallucinating. Like, now, they could think that maybe that happened to a neighbor or a friend. Is that how the market really works? And Frank, understanding how the real estate as a total works, right? I mean, could there be an exception, 1 out of 1,000 that sells on their own and sells for a great price? Sure. There's no business on this planet that makes decisions based on exceptions. That's not the rule. I mean, could this have happened to somebody or even them in the past? I don't know. Sure. But is that what they can expect realistically to happen most of the time? No, it's not.
Again, yeah, you're right. It comes back to the mindset, walking in with the right mindset.
Right, but it's also knowing how to have the conversation. You know, when you go watch the video I told you with the listing presentation, how to have the conversation with them so that they start to understand. Like Tina said, you say certain things, they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I've been through that. Oh yeah, oh, I see that, yeah. In a way that you're never condescending. If you ever sound, maybe you won't say it, but you say it in a way that sounds like you don't think they know what they're doing, you're done. You're done. It's like educating them, but before you could educate them, you got to educate yourself. You gotta understand how this works so that you can convey it to them in a way that causes them to recognize all the problems they have that cost them money. And as an agent, you can solve those problems. Really, that's how you net a FSBO more money, by solving the problems that cost them money.
I love it.
Right.
Love it.
Thank you.
No, that's great. And that's perfect, because you're always going to come back, well, this FSBO said this. That can't be your mindset for everybody, because the majority, like Jackie said, 92% sell with an agent. The other 8%, yeah, they might sell by themselves. Last thing before we wrap up, Jackie, just give, Melissa said, how do you know when it's time to stop gently pushing on overcoming objections? Like, is there a, hey, I'm going to give them 8 objection handlers and then give up? And then, you know, so I'll have her answer that. But just remember, go to Jackie's YouTube, follow her there, hit subscribe. So that way you get her weekly videos that she puts up. if you want Jackie's coaching, to me, it's like the cheapest coaching in the world. I always tell her to raise her prices, but
Not just the cheapest, it's the best too.
it's the best and the cheapest. She needs to like raise it to 1,000 a month, but it's like literally like $100 a month. So that's Sales X training, and she gave us Freedom Builders a code, Tina, so we get a discount. And then Jackie's going to be here every first Friday of the month. So it's a great opportunity to learn from her and just get better at the skill. So that last thing, how do you know when it's time to stop pushing with a FSBO?
Okay, so this is on a phone call and they keep
Phone call.
giving me objections.
Yes.
Well, again, this is a similar answer to the follow-up, right? You have to have the mindset of it's now or never. Tina, you remember playing the hang-up game?
Yep. Oh yeah, pushing the pennies.
That's how you get better at it. You know, playing the hang-up game means I am not allowed to hang up on this call until they hang up on me. So how much will I keep going? It's like when I can't go no more, when it's like they hang up on me, and then, you know, and if they hang up on me in the beginning of the call and I feel like I could call back, I'd say, hey, Tina, this is Jackie. We were just speaking. I think we got disconnected. Keep going. But see, I wouldn't put a number to that. We also used to play the 7 pennies game, where it's like at least 7 closes on every call. And when you ask for the appointment, you know, I say close. When you ask for the appointment, remember, it's not just a matter of saying, well, can I see you at 3 would 4 be better? It's what's in it for them. If you think back when I was role playing with Phil, before I said would 3 o'clock work, would 4 be better, it was always if there was a financial benefit, if this was an investment, not an expense, if it was so you know, he's like, he's starting to see, well, you know, and she's only asking for 20 minutes. It's easy to say yes to, and he's seeing why he should say yes. So those are all different things that you got to keep in mind, because if you're just saying, well, I want to meet 3 or 4, like that gets sold really quick. Okay?
Right.
So
Right.
not
I
like
love it. Well, invite all your friends, guys, every week to our Freedom Builders 11 o'clock mastermind. Jackie will be here every first Friday until she gets tired of us. So be nice to her.
not anytime soon.
Exactly. Go have people share her YouTube page. There is a wealth of information. There's so many topics to cover, but if you want to become a master at this art, coach with Jackie. It's the best experience ever. It's skills training. It's not just coaching, it's skills training, which we all need. So thank you guys. Be prosperous. Go list a lot of homes. And
Bye,
thank you, Jackie.
everybody. Yeah. Great
Bye,
to see
guys.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.